Hello, Your Black World family. Hello, Breaking Brown family. And let me just come to you with some bad news. I know some of you say, well, Yvette, you always come to us with bad news. No, I'm actually the only person who's willing to talk to you about bad news in black media. Some people would like to talk about and pass around pictures of the Obamas, and I'd rather not. So that's kind of where we are. The NPR study found that there are fewer black men in medical school in 2014 than there were in, I think it was 1978. Now think about that. Fewer black men in medical school in 2014 than in 1978. Now, when you think about that, I want you to also think about this. I want you to think about the fact that historically black colleges graduate, I think the number is 85% of black doctors, okay? What does that mean? When you consider how Obama has, and this is not just me saying this, this was, if you remember a while back, the Congressional Black Caucus went to meet with Obama about historically black college, and what they found was the same thing that I've been saying forever, is that he is openly, they said indifferent when they met with him, but I think in terms of how I would qualify it as saying that Obama was actually hostile. I think Obama has been hostile to the black community since he's been in office, and I think he's also been hostile to historically black colleges. Now, I'm not saying, listen, before we get into it, I'm not saying that everybody in that all historically black colleges are created the same, that all historically black colleges need to stay open. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying, I'm pointing out to you that the first black president has been hostile to historically black colleges. Hampton University's president said a while ago that that black colleges don't even have input about things that have to do with minority students. You have an administration that has done less to help historically black colleges than many of his white predecessors. Even Ronald Reagan signed an executive order to help historically black colleges, and he didn't even get the black vote. So what the point I want to make here is that this is the last time we're going to see this. What's happening right now, and I'm not saying Obama is totally responsible for the low number of black men in medical school, but what I'm saying now is that he didn't do anything to help. And what's going to happen from now on is that these chickens, Obama's chickens, are going to continue to come home to roost, because what you're going to have is that after Obama's gone, I don't care who's in the White House, I don't care whether it's Hillary, or because I can't see Donald Trump or Jeb Bush making that. But what you're going to see is that whoever the next white president is, black people are going to come to the next white president and ask for help. They're going to say, please, white president, help us with these historically black colleges. Please, Mr. White President, or Miss White President, Mrs. White President, can you help us with welfare? Can you help us with mass incarceration? And that white president, can you help us with unemployment? All these, they're going to come hat in hand. And what's going to happen is the next white president is going to say, listen, you didn't ask anything of Obama. Obama did more to decimate your colleges and communities than I did. And you didn't ask anything of him. What are you here for? You know, that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. And that's what we're faced with because of what we've allowed, Obama to get away with. You look at historically black colleges, they also graduate, I think it's 80% of black judges. They also graduate, and they're only 3%, historically black colleges are only 3% of colleges. Think about that. They're only 3% of colleges, and they graduate that many black judges. What does that mean? What does that mean in terms of mass incarceration? What does having a black judge mean? What does having a black doctor mean? Even if you went to a private institution, don't you think that means something to have black people in these jobs? I hear people sometimes say that they want a black doctor. Okay, well look at who graduates most of them, and look at what's happening to them. And this isn't the only area where that's happening. Historically black colleges, regardless of where you went to school, historically black colleges are important. And I admit, I'm certainly biased. I'm a graduate of Howard University. But historically black colleges are important. And the first black president hasn't done anything to help them. The first black president hasn't done anything to help black people. So if anything, he has actually hurt black people in terms of where we need to go. what we need to do. People always talk about, we need to get involved in STEM and math and science. Well, 90% of the people who get involved in that, these are who? Who are these people? These people, 90% comes from HBCUs, those graduates. And we are still holding on to a president who has done absolutely nothing to help those schools that need to exist and deserve to exist. Not every school will make it. But you can't compare these schools to white schools. That's why you can't even compare black people to white people in that way. We don't have the same history. You can't compare black people to Asians. 50% of the Asians who come to this country already have a college degree. That's more people. That's more than the American rate of people who have a college degree. 50% of Americans don't have college degrees. So that's the first thing. Don't compare HBCUs to white schools. Don't compare black people to Asians. Don't compare black people to Jewish people, because Jewish people are still white. So that comparison doesn't fit either. So the first thing we need to do if we want to help black people is stop comparing black people to everybody else. We don't have the same history. You can't even compare African Americans to African migrants. We don't have the same history. They come from a majority black country. That's how they live. Black people in this country have lived in the belly of the beast right beside, a majority white culture. We're two different things, two different people. And I think that it's wrong to not allow us to still have our own institutions. You have to think about this. This is 2015? We're like 50 some odd years outside of what? Outside of the Voting Rights Act? Outside of having dogs sicked on us and all that stuff, we're just outside of that. And so I think the idea that we need our own institutions is, it doesn't even seem like a radical idea to me. And I think the idea that our first black president has probably done more than any president in recent years to decimate those institutions is problematic. And I think that the new data about the number of black men in medical school just goes to that point. And I think as time goes on, well after Obama's gone, you're going to see his legacy of continuing to disenfranchise black people. And I think Glenn Ford of Black Agenda Report said something very important. He said Obama isn't the lesser of two evils. He's the most effective evil. And I think that's true. Obama has gotten away with stuff that a white president could not have dreamed of getting away with. And so that's why he's been so important to empire. And that's why he shouldn't be important to me or to you, because he doesn't have our best interests at heart. He's Wall Street's president. And so I think we should grapple with that. This is just the way it is. Nothing we can do about it except acknowledge that we made a mistake and move on.